Welcome back to the programme. Well, let's return to the story we were discussing before the break. The EU's divided leaders meet tomorrow to discuss the long-term plan for economic recovery following COVID-19. The rift is between the frugal nations and those who want to share debt and spend their way out of the crisis. Well, from all this, let's cross over to Shona Murray, who's at the Bridge, our studio in the heart of the European Parliament.
Good evening, Tokes, and welcome to the Bridge. Of course, as we know, EU leaders are going to attempt to delve into the highly political and technical nature of the EU Recovery Fund. And of course, it's not just the frugal four against the rest. There are many member states who have huge concerns about the methodology around how the money is allocated. But for now, I'm joined by Johan Danielsson, a Swedish MEP for the Social Democrats. Johan, your country has, I suppose, the unfortunate aspect of being within this group known as the frugal four. How did that happen? And why is Sweden so against this recovery fund at this point?
I would say, firstly, we are not against the recovery fund as such. This is extraordinary circumstances. I think we all agree that we need a European recovery package because, our economies are so connected, so we need to make sure that the whole EU can recover.
Yeah, that's right. But I suppose your concerns with 750 billion euro, 500 billion euro in grants, 250 billion in loans, what aspects of that have you got the concerns with?
I think there are, for us, two outstanding issues when we go into the council meeting tomorrow, when our Prime Minister goes into it. And the first is, as you say, the ratio between loans and grants, where we would see a larger part being loans, and then perhaps also on the duration and the whole size of the package.
So you would prefer that the package is as short-term as possible, but it's only aiming to be about 2 to 3 years, and then that more of the money is given in loans to countries to help, I suppose, support their economies.
Yeah, a larger part as loans, and then on the duration, I think it's, I want to say a fixed time, but I would say it's important that it's a temporary mechanism as proposed, but that's made clear. And then, of course, as you know, there are valid arguments to have more long-term permanent transition mechanisms within the Eurozone, but that must be for the monetary union.
Just in relation to the grants aspect, because the point of having grants is that you don't pile on extra debt to member states that are already under huge pressure, countries like Italy and Spain, who already had sort of weakened economies. So what would be, your idea of supporting them without ensuring that they don't have long-term debt in the future?
I understand that argument, but of course, there will be debt, because even if the Commission brings up debt and give it as grant, somebody has to repay the debt of the EU. So it will still be a debt that has to be repaid. And then, of course, the loans will be on very low interests. It will be with a long-term repayment. So I think even those money could be used in Italy, in Spain, to get the economy starting.
And the other aspect of this is really about solidarity, which was lacking in the early stages of the pandemic. The idea is that all the EU member states club together and support each other, which is another reason why you have grants. And can you understand why some member states would feel that your position, therefore, is lacking in solidarity?
I think this is not a question of solidarity or not. I think we are solidaric with each other in the European Union. In the end of this, we will agree on an historic joint recovery package that will show that we have solidarity within the European Union. But in order to do that, I think we need to have real discussions between the leaders, and everybody needs to listen to each other and respect the different point of views, because all leaders meeting tomorrow, they represent also public opinions and have different aspects. But if they listen to each other, I'm sure we will have a deal that will reignite the European economy and show that we are solidaric among each other.
I suppose because Sweden itself has had a difficult time with the pandemic too. Are you hoping that your a portion of the grants, when they're agreed, will be quite large and enough to support your economy, the part that was hit specifically by the coronavirus?
I think no matter how this is formulated, I think the Swedish contribution to the fund will be smaller than the funds we will receive. And that's to be expected, since we are a relatively rich country within the European Union. So I think most of the investments that we have to do back home, we have to do by ourselves.
Okay, Johan Christiansen, thank you very much for joining us. Tokes.
Shona, an MEP who's accused Belgian police of brutality has been speaking to Euronews. Tell us more about what she's had to say.
That's right. Pierrette Hertzberger Fofana spoke to our colleague Greg Laurie today. Now, yesterday she gave a really impassioned relation of a story that happened to her on Tuesday. She said she was the victim of police brutality here in Belgium. And take a listen to what she says should happen now.
The EU should first of all recognise that racism exists. Institutional racism shouldn't be denied. And obviously, we need to take solid measures because the time for big speeches is over. We are ready to work with the police. We are not pointing the finger at the police. That's not my intention at all. We simply want a police force in Europe that is more humane.
And that was an incident, of course, that happened in the plenary here in the European Parliament yesterday. We've had a lot of condemnation for her situation, including from the President of the European Parliament, David Sassoli, and various other people. But I should say, of course, that the Belgian police are investigating the matter, and we will hear a lot more about it over the next few weeks. But it does tie in, Tokes, of course, to the issues around racism, about systemic and institutional racism here in Brussels and, of course, over in the United States. Tokes.
A debate which is raging across the continent. Jonah Murray there from the bridge. Thank you.